Assalamu alaikum, welcome to Times Up Ummah. Today's first news update is coming from United States, where the United States Secretary of State Department said the increasingly powerful China is challenging the world order, acting more repressively at home and more aggressively overseas as it tests its growing influence. Biden has identified competition with China as his administration's greatest foreign policy challenge. In his first speech to Congress last Wednesday, he pledged to maintain a strong United States military presence in Indo-Pacific and to boost technological development in the United States. Biden said he told Chinese President Xi Jinping that the competition to be the dominant power of the 21st century. We welcome the competition and that we are not looking for conflict. But Blinken has said in an interview that China is the one country in the world that has the military, economic, diplomatic capacity to undermine or challenge the rules-based order that we care so much about and are determined to defend. Our purpose is not to contain China, to hold it back, to keep it down. It is to uphold this rules-based order that China is posing a challenge. Dear viewers, tension between China and the United States has escalated for years over multiple issues from economic to human rights abuses, especially how China treats Uyghurs in the far western region Xinjiang. And furthermore, United States have also concerns over the crackdown on pro-democracy politicians and activists in the Hong Kong and the self-ruled islands of Taiwan. The United States has a long-standing commitment under the Taiwan Relations Act to ensure the island has the ability to defend itself and to sustain peace and security in the Western Pacific. Dear viewers, Taiwan and China have conflict over some islands, which China claims that it is a part of Chinese territory. And Taiwan has complained over the past few months of repeated missions by Chinese Air Force near the islands, which China claims is its own. Today's second news update is coming from Myanmar, where chaos in Myanmar has intensified once again, where at least 8 people have been killed in Myanmar after security forces opened fire on some of the biggest protests against the military rule in days. 3 months after Myanmar's military take over the democratic government of Aung San Suu Kyi, and it caused deadly protests across the country which killed 765 people and arrested 4,609 people by military. Thousands of people in towns and cities across the country joined the protests on Sunday calling for the global Myanmar Spring Revolution. Rallies in support of anti-coup protests also took place outside Myanmar as Pope Francis called for peace. Dear viewers, 2 people were shot dead in Mandalay and 3 people were killed in the central town of Watlet. And further 2 were killed in the different towns in Shan State in the northwest. And 1 person was killed in the northern jade mining town. Long-running conflicts with the ethnic armed groups in border areas in the north and the east have also intensified, displacing tens of thousands of civilians. The military has responded to the protests with arrests and lethal force and ignored calls from neighboring countries and the United Nations to end the violence. Bomb blasts were also reported in different parts of Yangon on Sunday. Explosions have been happening in the increasing frequency in the former capital and authorities have blamed them on instigators. But there have been no claim of responsibility for the explosions. Dear viewers, the ongoing violence in Myanmar has raised alarms among the international community and many powers have imposed sanctions on military officials, and especially the United Nations demanded once again from Myanmar military to end the violence and restore democracy. Today's third news update is coming from Palestine, wherein Israeli settlers have attacked once again on Palestinian village in the occupied West Bank overnight, setting brush fires and hurling stones. Dear viewers, sources said it appeared to be a revenge attack after 3 Israelis were wounded in a drive-by shooting at a nearby traffic junction on Sunday. Dear viewers, Israeli settlers attacks comes rapidly and sometimes international news outlets reports it and sometimes it fails. But escalation have been seen in assaults on Palestinians for years when more than 500,000 Jews were shipped to West Bank. The United Nations last month warned the violence, including assaults on property destruction by Israeli settlers against Palestinian civilians in the West Bank, has increased substantially in the recent months. During the first 3 months of the 2021, more than 210 incidents of violence by settlers were recorded, including the death of 1 Palestinian. The violence has been mainly motivated by the ideology and intended to intimidate and terrorize Palestinians and to prevent prevent them from accessing their land while pushing others to move. Dear viewers, the Israeli human rights group circulated videos showing the fire with people shouting in the background, saying dozens of illegal settlers have attacked the village of Jalud. Despite these continuous attacks, Arabs want to restore ties with Israel, and they have forgotten that their big enemy in the region is Israel. But they maybe not see the facts now till Israel take control of their land like they did in 1967. Dear viewers, if you want top news of each day, please subscribe Times of Ummah.